Deb Helfrich, hashtag RedheadedSheHulk, and I am the founder of hashtag Wellbeing Philosophy. Okay, ABCs of Wellbeing Philosophy in a nutshell: anti-racism, bioelectricity, and consciousness made clear. Now, consciousness is crucial. To understand the hard problem of consciousness as an easy problem is the fundamental shift that has changed how I think about everything. Or not how I think, has changed the way I perceive what's possible in the world. That's a much better thing. You see how our language, English is a prison. The English language is very linear, very mechanistic. And we have so many words that end up having 4 different meanings, that oftentimes we're in these either or battles, and we're simply using words in different definitions and failing to sit and establish what we're talking about. So consciousness is bioelectricity. So we make consciousness clear, we just call it bioelectricity. There's a whole hour's worth of premises and logic that pull that together. But let's just say consciousness is bioelectricity. Bioelectricity then alters how we think in every way, shape, and form about human energy, potential, and well-being. We live in a world where we have prioritized biochemical understanding of humans. And that's our body, that's our physiology, how it works, and that can all stay the same. The thing is that our physiology is informed by our bioelectricity. The data, and this is autonomic, let's not even get into the mental aspects of personality and thinking at this moment. The bioelectricity that powers our physiology autonomically. In comes a sense. There's birds feeding their young in the nest up above, and they're constantly flittering and going. There's people going to be walking by, so I have to have a treat for the Zanzibar at the ready. Keep things nice and cool and quiet. We'll see. This is all bioelectrical conductivity between our brain and various parts of our body that happens through our, I almost said it, but I will keep saying it, biofield. Now, the reason I had to pause was just, again, we almost had a dog barking incident. The dog came at Zanzi, had treats in hand, and held the energy, so she basically ignored. It's very good, Z. Very, very good. All right. Bioelectricity flows through our body and brain as a circuit through our spinal cord out to from our central nervous system to our peripheral nervous system, doing whatever it is it's doing. There's a thought to hold my hand here. There's eyes, everything. It's a very complex circuitry. When this complex circuitry gets a trigger point, we have mental triggers, nervous system triggers, and also triggers as the word when you've got a blockage somewhere in your fascia. So tennis elbow comes up into play. And let's say you do have tennis elbow or typing wrists. You're having trouble, the full bandwidth of how the brain is ordering the fingers to do things goes awry. Now I do actually, and I have still not, it's very subtle, but I can't operate both hands identically. There is something, and I always feel it's wrong with my left side, because I broke this forearm 3rd grade on a bike accident, and I had a big problem, fell out of a treehouse, rusty nails scraped down through my left outside of my leg. There's only two only injuries really in life. So I'm always blaming my left side, but it is my right side that I feel is out of alignment in a number of ways. I feel very much Bill Bixby, Lou Ferrigno. And I think you can even see it. There's facial muscles. So I can do that, but I can't. It's really difficult to get this. There's muscle. I'm working on it. And it's like there's a bunching here. In some jaw situations. This is the side where the wisdom tooth got extracted at 30 and had some mechanical wear adjusted. So I think it's the dental work. So also, as the mold, as I decrease my ability to walk and talk, I lived through both having full bioelectrical conductivity, having it extraordinarily decreased, brain capacity in check, always in there, but literally thoughts never changed in me. In fact, and until I started really being at the point of optimizing my bioelectricity and became hyper communicative. It was this. It was that there was a great stopper on my talking because it had been my experience just never in my early life, in my entire community of origin, was there a single person with whom I could have philosophical discussions. And being philosophical triggers many people. They don't like to have their paradigms challenged. They don't find, the hard thinking about the difficult problems of the world to be. I find them hard and difficult. I find them curious and challenging. And you see what's going on here. This is neglect and trauma healing. And that might be a response to somebody wanting to talk to me. So we'll just go see. It is. Yeah. Okay, so we did have, this is great, an upcoming conversation. So, about dance, about where I was in my own journey of not just dancing every week, but starting to do contact improv, doing a modality of dance that is very much about physicality and human physicality and movement and touch, and just starting with, rolling forearms with another human, shoulder bumps and hips, and just this was healing the neglect. It's perfect at the reach out and the confirm back of where I was explaining it. And what was happening here, this is embodied neglect healing. This is me. And again, it's let's take an observation that I was like, oh, well, I did it that way for a long time. Let me switch up. So that's embodied intelligence. But let's notice it was a right fist into a left flat palm. There's meaning there. That autonomic movement, which was allowing me to express something that had been challenging to express, and allowed me to get into the energy of a great deal of restriction, bodily restriction, in the safety of me voicing my truth. That was my lived experience for my childhood. I avoided my parents as often as possible. I did not feel comfortable speaking to them. Put me out in the world, and I was so non-securely attached. Like I don't have any, and I had no challenges going off to school. I have been put in Montessori school when I was 2. You know, but I'm an observer. I'm a philosopher. I'm also constantly triggered with the sensory inputs of my nervous system. But I'm not shy in the least. And it's funny that there would be quite often. And now, is again the oversharing that I do quite frequently. Is, I believe, a great model. I don't know that society should be operating as quite as out and about. Hey, did you know I'm 333 pounds? That's 2 years ago. I don't know that many people will be fearless enough, bold enough, and be doing it to educate. Be doing it to say, like, at any point in time, you can invest in becoming exactly who you are. There is no age, no circumstance, no condition that will stop you from being who you are for yourself. Now, the consequences of how the externalities will view you, your treatment by other people, when you stop playing by the rules of plantation capitalism, you better be in your truth, because it is going to get rough. I'm doing my work so that it gets less rough for the people coming behind me. And there are many people, many people. So again, we'll be a collection of superheroes. I mean, I'm the redheaded She-Hulk. There will be other people with other special basic human capacities, neurons that they did improve when they were a kid based on certain unique environmental circumstances. Real life superhero powers are about tracking, for instance. I've come to realize that all my hypersensitivities were ancestrally have made me a tracker. The kind of person who would go out and find, wildlife, new patches of berries, who would explore, and watch, okay, there's a new berry, a new patch. We've never seen that kind of color, and it's take a currant versus a blackberry. Right? Blackberry's got all the little tiny bits. The currant is like one berry. So we found a new bush and everything. I'd be one of the people to go and really okay, birds, check. But do any mammals eat it? Because we might be poisonous. But let's see what kinds of wildlife, who's to really assess it, and then to do a sniff test, and then to know my own system well enough to know, what the effect of one berry, Princess and the Pea was. But I wouldn't take that one berry until I really observed the situation environmentally in all angles, and watch what happened. perhaps examine the scat of, okay, well, I've seen, primates frequent this bush, and does it cause any gastrointestinal output changes? This is a hunter and gatherer skill. This is what I do in contemporary life. It's more about how people interact with their electronics, how people interact with themselves, how people go about being in the complexity of the built world that stresses them out. This archetype is crucial. And this archetype is also why I was able to take my philosophical hypothesis of bioelectricity and consciousness made clear and explain bioelectricity, which is the thought aspect, the electrical messages, the electromagnetic components of data between our brain, body, and soul. Our soul, that's that B word that I got stuck up on. I have to do some definitioning. Biofield. Our soul is scientifically called the biofield. Biofield is the National Institutes of Health term for the electrosmog of our brain and heart. Now, you may have heard of the Heart Math Institute. Go check them out. They've measured that the heart has a magnetic field and its electricity can be found like 5 to 6 feet off the body. Brain, it's more inches. So the brain doesn't have amplitude and volume. The heart is the amplifier. The brain is the signal generator. When you think, so this data from the Heart Math Institute, inches for the brain, and again, it's the electrical currents and the magnetic fields, both electromagnetism, electricity flowing through organic material like a human brain, always generates a magnetic field. So they've measured both. The brain is this big, and the heart is 5 feet. That area beyond our skin, but that is still entirety of our organism, necessary. It's called the biofield. And ancestrally, it might have been called chakras or auras. You see, we've got these words that we've become a woo-woo-woo, but this is actually just the stories, very valid stories that humans told long before they had the current crop of tools of measurement. We are not smarter than our ancestors. We are, in fact, dumber because we do not see things intuitively. The biofield exists, and the biofield is the soul. In #wellbeing philosophy, a brain and a body and a biofield. That is mind, heart, and soul. You've got the physical organs, but then you have the life force flowing through them and around them. Now, an example of the biofield, we don't think about this a lot, but this is very well known, I think, is that your saliva signals to your pancreas to secrete insulin. Your saliva, as you start chewing on a potato chip, your pancreas goes, we got none but carbs coming through. Let's hype up the insulin so that the insulin produced and meets the potato chip exactly in the digestive tract where it needs to be. So explain to me, how, if your saliva is communicating with your pancreas, is there like a express bus through your esophagus? There is not. That is an electrical signal that travels through your biofield. And it could travel to other things, but mostly, to get there and to be as effective as it is, it's an electrical signal. An autonomic electrical signal, boom, 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 saliva notes, brain goes, pancreas goes. We know exactly how much insulin to put out. Crucial element of who we are is the electrical functioning circuitry of all of the sensory inputs billions. And again, we have data that we basically have to parse down to consciously being aware of 40 bits. And we're very rarely conscious of the 40 bits. We're usually having our own internal dialogue and only conscious of one or two things. Here's another vehicle of mass destruction driving by, a landscaping vehicle. This is a little truck thingy-doo with a mower in the back. Oh yeah, so here's what's gonna happen, y'all. And we're staying live. You see, there's that little small patch of grass between the. So he brought a mower, push mower, from what I see, to come through. Another great live thought experiment going on. The biofield is a concept I learned from using tuning forks. It is the tuning fork that is my philosopher's tool. It is the frequency of having a tool that generates one frequency. Have it in my hand, I can mechanically generate electromagnetic waves with the tuning fork. There are tuning forks that are optimized for sound, and there are tuning forks that are optimized for vibration. Waves, electromagnetic waves, possess both sound qualities and vibration qualities when they are pretty low down the electromagnetic spectrum. Audible sound is 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. And here I'm going to stop for a second because I'm constantly feeling like people are ignoring me because I'm so outlandishly creative. Very rigorously scientific as well. But just not in the way. So definitely a different style to my science. On purpose. It's got to be playful. We got to get back into science is not a battle. Science is not truth. Science is not proof. Science is the process of going, this is the best we know right now. Can we invent another tool? Do we need more data from a different field of endeavor? So what I'm trying to do, becoming the philosopher in residence at Carnegie Mellon, is have some rigorous discussions, really they love the phrase multidisciplinary. Hello, you're not doing it very well. I'm here to tell you. I'm observing. You're not doing it very philosophically. Again, that was a poor choice of words. Well, not doing it philosophically. I think I have been on one webinar with the, hosted by the director of the Neuroscience Institute with a programmer who has done a lot of big data work on the genome, and a biologist who has some Parkinson's. Can't make this stuff up. And has really come up with a breakthrough on DBS about the frequency, about the hertz needed. And her big thing, and it was again with the programmer and having some big data and using software and various things, is burst. Is that you can't just turn on the frequency of 89 hertz in DBS in Parkinson's patients who have electrodes in their brains. There's wires down the neck, and then there's a battery in the shoulder. And I have an actual email with actual data. 89, 129, maybe 144. So yeah, between 89 and 144 is coming up on the top of my head. The actual hertz programmed into her husband's DBS. Tuning forks of those hertz. You don't need necessarily to have it's because the biggest problem is the batteries have a life frame. So you put a battery into power. She called it a pacemaker. I don't know that. In the Parkinson's world, we call it a battery. It is sort of a pacemaker, like a heart pacemaker. Just, again, the electrical currents of the brain. You see, it's not that it's the synthesis of how I want to talk about bio-electricity, which is why I put the hyphen in there, bio-electricity, philosophical hypothesis of bioelectricity, is to take all of these various pieces and integrate them, synthesize them. So, first off, they don't need to be surgically installed. MEGs, the magnetic encephalogram. I don't know. MEGs, EEGs. I think it's electroencephalogram, magnetic encephalogram. I don't know. Who cares? Oh, I care. But I'm not going to be able to remember those words right now, so we'll skip it. She's discovered. So we'll go back to the webinar and the professor who I've sent an email from and not heard from, and gave her a lovely video of all of my Parkinson's experience. Because it's actually exactly what I know to be true. Is they were turning it on at 89 hertz and then, I don't know, letting it go for an hour or so. And then when you would, and there's programs, there's remotes and there's different settings for the DBS. But bursting it. And she was explaining that that's how synapses work. I mean, it's literally like, there's excitatory and inhibitory neurotransmitters, and thought is not this continuous stream. It's circuitry, it's pulses, and it's the combination of the pulses. We still are at the point where even with all of the imaging of the brain, we've mapped all the terrain. But give me any neuroscience geek, and I got 2 questions for them. I think they're basic questions, but I don't hear anyone going, well, we haven't. Where are memories? And where's the subconscious? Right here. Philosophical innovation, hypotheses that you've not heard before. Where are memories? Biofield. Our memories are in our biofield. There is nowhere yet that we have found store memories. There's no area occupation. So, where's the subconscious? Well, where is perhaps not the right question. So my hypothesis is that the subconscious is actually a different set of brain waves. Different hertz. And I call them, through being alerted to them by Joe Dispenza, gamma brainwaves. It was gamma radiation, electromagnetic frequency, way up in the scientific notation, gigatrillion hertz, way up there. People just going along checking every door. Distracting me from my, how high up is terahertz? Oh, and there's the mower. Yeah, it's going to be a little bit difficult to be so scientifically focused with the mower coming towards us. Anyhow, where was I at? This is what happens. So, put me in a retail situation, one cacophony, one argument, one this, that. Because I have to figure out how to be avoidant. I'll also be a caring person to step in if there's a way that I can do so. I need more peace. I need to be observant of details in the environment as a tracker. So, again, got you to gamma brainwaves, subconscious, memories in the biofield. Why is the A anti-racism? You got your consciousness, bioelectricity, we've talked about it. Why is well-being philosophy? Everyone says, oh, you got to pick something, you got to niche down, you got to do blah, 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 blah. Wow. Skin is the largest organ of the human body. We know that. It is also the mediator between the physiology and the biofield. It is highly electrically conductive. Melanin is a superpower. And all of this information between our memories and stuff flowing from the air around us, the electrosmog, the biofield, the magnetic fields of our hearts being 5 feet around us. Also, if we look at it correctly, our skin can provide actual energy. It's not just the biochemical digestive process. So that's the main one, and especially in our culture. But sunlight does energize human activity. I don't know. At this point, I haven't gotten enough data. I haven't went to more equatorial climates on my agenda to understand that dynamic. It's very much like, again, we've got the Krebs cycle for processing carbohydrates as fuel and the ketone fatty acid as fuel. Way more efficient to use fatty acids, especially onboard stored nutrition. We are at the point of forced fasting, so we'll see how that goes. I'm expecting, a challenging first few days because of the forced aspect. And then I'm certain that there will be a robustness that occurs. I'm looking forward to that. So similar to the fact that there's Krebs, we use carbohydrates or fat for fuel. For energy, we can use digestive fuel or solar fuel. Again, just like how we got all into the fossil fuels and we sort of neglected solar power, and now we're at the point of seeing how eco-friendly, non-toxic solar power. Same for human bodies. Because again, there's a lot of risk in ingesting things, especially back in our hunter-gatherer days. I just talked to you about my berry situation. Do you see the complexity of how my mind works? This is my subconscious. Even with a mower threatening my sanity. Complexity of how my thoughts process works is over time. Give me enough time to pull things in. It's really fascinating, is it not? I brought up this random berry situation, but it really is the case that there's a lot of risk in eating digestive upset. And here he's like really right here. And just wide enough, he's going to go that way and then come back. The lower, he needs 2 passes the lower. Hopefully not 3. Fingers crossed. It might be 3. It looks like 20% is not known. Let's do a visual check. I don't know how well you can see it. Do a visual check. Fingers crossed. There's a lot of risk in eating. Even foods that you've eaten successfully in the past, a fly may have landed on in the process of It is 3 passes. That's some mental processing for you. So it's kind of funny. So I put Zanzi back down. She literally is so distracted by the intensity of the sound. I mean, again, we know dogs have very acute sound, acute hearing. She can't. She was like all twisted in her leash, just like numb from the overstimulation. But like seriously though, I really accurately said that the grass situation is 20% too big for 2 passes of the mower. No. So this is an intense, oh crap, too. So now I'm seeing low in the cuttings. He's going to have to walk around with another week low. You know, this is good. This is really good, actually. So a couple years ago, there's an audio recording of me doing battle with landscaping at my friend Marcia's house, an audio recording. We're having video testimony of this the challenge with what this does. I mean, it's and it's the vibration. I mean, yeah, the sound is annoying, but the vibration feels like, especially this close. I don't. Fear for the health of the landscapers. I don't know if anyone's doing any studies, but I would suggest they do so. These guys probably should be getting hazard pay. Okay, I do remember I was astounded that I had brought berries in earlier in the conversation and then was talking about the risk of the digestive tract. We get energy from the sun when we have access to the sun, when we're not locking ourselves into cubicles away from all of the landscaping weapons of destruction, landscaping appliances of destruction. There's so much unintentional harm, so much unintentional stress. And what is stress? What is stress? Give me a definition of stress. We might actually need to type a Google. I'm going to tell you what mine is before we go to Google. My definition of stress is a nervous system processing more than it has the energy to handle. Nervous system that has too many noxious, toxic sensory inputs beyond the available energetic capacity of your system. And by energetic capacity, I mean 2 things, both the power dynamic of, again, if you have enough onboard fuel, enough calories in your digestive tract, enough, you know. There's the leaf blower. Fucking hell. The sound of the mowers are benign compared to the leaf blowers. Again, I want you to see what we're spending our fossil fuels on. Do you see the tininess of it's a sprinkling of grass cuttings. I think they do this 3 times a week. So it's nobody on campus. Now there's a challenge because often in these cases, I would have a solution. This is a challenging one. I do understand. I mean, the manicuredness of the grounds of this campus are like a feature. The kids come and play frisbees and soccer, hacky sacks, and the dogs come through, people lay out, but we can't use this kind of fossil fuels, and we can't be. I mean, even in insulated buildings with windows closed and air conditioning, this is an intense stressor autonomically on people's nervous systems. Okay. I don't know if I'm going to be able to come back to. We were anti-racism. We traversed from consciousness made clear to bioelectricity. We're up at the A of hashtag wellbeing philosophy, anti-racism. And it's because skin is our largest organ, and skin is a dynamic, fascinating intermediary between the substance of our body, the electrical impulses traveling through our fascia, and what's happening in our biofield. So the health of our skin is crucial. And again, our skin is sensing excess carbon monoxide, petrochemicals in our lotions, these toxic, noxic products that we put all over ourselves. Not just the smell, but literally the preservatives. When things go in through our mouth, okay, we're gonna have to pick Zandy up. Come here, Levy. Come here. You can't be down on the floor. This is happening. Have her mouth and nose up where mine are. So loud. So loud. We're already torturing ourselves like this. Really. Oh. Fuck. Exactly the trimmer. I got backs too. So I'm not trying to be Gerardo, exposéing things. It's okay, sweetie. You gotta stay up here. Oh, the exhaust. It's toxic. Mostly I'm trying to get you to understand what it's like in my nervous system. Being aware of all these things. Not numbing myself out to them. Not putting on earphones. Not going, well, this is just how the world works. No, this is harming human health. So now that was the trimmer. There will be a week before. God, I hope maybe he just forgets. Imagine what this is doing to a creature with even more sensitive hearing. Imagine what it's doing to her sense of smell. fact, I can feel her heartbeat in my heart. I love you, Zanzibar. Whew. So how's your brain keeping up with the information I've given you? Hashtag wellbeing philosophy, ABCs, anti-racism, bioelectricity, consciousness made clear. Consciousness is bioelectricity. A lot more to talk about, but fundamentally, you should get that. Bioelectricity gives us a new way of thinking about human energy, potential, and well-being, all across the board. And once again, once we get consciousness, the hard problem of consciousness sorted into an easy problem, how we think about being human is entirely altered. Then, when we put bioelectricity, this concept of the circuitry of brain and heart flowing throughout our whole entire body, brain, and biofield, we've gotten biochemistry as right as we're going to get it, to be quite frank. There may be a few more really labyrinthine biochemical pathways that we can discover with the genome. But basically, sorry, it is shedding season. Our health is worsening by the day. Chronic diseases, cancers, MS, Parkinson's, they're all exorbitantly, exponentially increasing, as is environmental illnesses, as is the neurodivergent suite of situations, which are not diseases, should not be medicated, is we need to alter, oh really, oh no, where is that dog fur coming from? Autism, ADHD, all of these things are the symptomology of nervous systems in overwhelm, which was my definition of stress. We're searching just specifically for definition of stress. Stress is the feeling of being overwhelmed or unable to cope with mental or emotional pressure. I disagree. I mean, it's mental, emotional processing, but what's overwhelming you are the sensory inputs of our toxic civilization. It's primarily the man-made stuff, these appliances, the fighting we do amongst ourselves, the judging, the need to be certain kinds of body types, the need to communicate in certain way, all this, we are causing our own illnesses. And that's what well-being philosophy exists to stop. Using very outlier examples of my own lived experience, my own deeply philosophical thinking. I'm a born philosopher, not just a grade 1 from Carnegie Mellon. But I lack the energy. For most of my life, there was a blockage in my feeling that it was safe to express this intelligence. And that came from neglect in my community of origin, of not, at the appropriate developmental stages, never having another human with whom I could have this level of discussion. So thank you if you've spent 50 minutes with me. I'm going to sign off and say harmony. Stress is fixable. Not with it. Again, civilizationally, once you've sorted all these things about being human, the civilization, there's no intractable problems, and it's all our fault. So once you understand that stress is not an individual problem, you don't need to go fix your stress. You need to fix the civilization to stop stressing all of us. And he turns off, and then the helicopter comes through. In a certain sense, I really want to. I was going to say goodbye, but as long as YouTube's cool with this, and I think it is. I don't know. I went on long before, but on my other account. YouTube doesn't like me because I can't live stream on the phone. For simple reasons that I won't divulge. But they're trying to manhandle my behavior. So, because we're going to keep going as long as it does, because let's come back and monitor the clipping situation. So now that he came by with the trimmer, it was just a light sprinkling of grass, but now there's a lot more of debris, grass cuttings. So I'm pretty sure this is the end of our food until who knows when. So I'm going to have some, finish off my dried mango. The main grass is now littered with birds. A lot of birds. Okay. There's also quite a few rabbits and squirrels doing a lot of the natural work of keeping the place clean. I'm also noticing a change in the sky density. See the blueness coming? We might have to protect the electronics. And I really do want to get the I'm trying to decide which. Okay. This is again how my brain works. Pretty interesting. This is going to be my last piece of food for quite some time. I had 2 pieces of mango. And I just want to make sure that I don't get a dud for the last one. What does that mean? I have on occasion been able to taste dishwashing liquid on some of the dried mango slices from Trader Joe's. Hyper acute. Eaten from both sides. Certain this is a good piece. I'm gonna eat from the one side. I'm dying. Kind of literally. But also, figuratively, I was about to say I'm dying for some sensory deprivation right now. I had approached one of the float tank concerns to offer my expertise in talking about the cruciality of flotation tanks on every angle, and wanted to do an experiment of just give me a free 30-day pass, and I would have live streamed repeatedly. Okay. I really wanted to go hit the drum circle in Shelly Park today. I hope it doesn't rain. ABCs of bioelectricity, anti-racism, ABCs of well-being philosophy, anti-racism, bioelectricity, conscious and declare. There's 3 heuristics. How do you think like a well-being philosopher? That'll be the leaf blower. Yes. We have visual confirmation of the backpack leaf blower on. I'm getting all this. The 3 heuristics are the math of life, 1 + 1 = 3. 1 one man plus one woman equals a third baby. Life adds up differently than stuff. You can keep everything you know about math. Math is just a tool. Okay, math is not reality. I know the scientists like to make it seem like it is, but just because you find one set of numbers that represent what reality is doesn't mean you can't find another set of numbers to also represent. If 1 plus 1 can equal 3, which it does in the reproduction of life, and it doesn't just equal 3, remember, it could equal 4 for twins or 5 for triplets. It could equal any number for birds and bees. Life adds up differently than stuff. That doesn't add up in strictly linear fashion. That's exactly what everything I'm talking about is all about. And I'm looking at it, I'm getting profound, even in the stressor, and you're not even going to be able to hear this. This is the challenge of my life. This is exactly why I ended up being unable to work. The sensory processing. Now the birds are gone. The birds have gone. They were fine with the trimmer. The entire yard has cleared of birds because of the leaf blower. That's a new observation of mine. I mean, the one set of mechanical sounds is not as threatening as others. Fumes. Doesn't appear that we will be stormy. It's like if we do anything, it'll be just some rain. So we're gonna fingers crossed on this, and we'll finish up. Math of life. Life force adds up differently than stuff. Keep everything you know about stuff, but math is a tool, and we need a different way of And that's the vehicle that carries all that landscaping appliances of destruction around. Okay. Evolutionary logic. That's facilely explained in the chicken or the egg conundrum. Right off the top of the head, the way we ask the question sets it up as though it can't be answered. Watch out for that. Watch out for people leading the answer in the question. We all know that there's an easy answer. What is astounding to me is that a vast majority, I say 75% of American adults so far have said chicken. They have. Another 25% are chicken in headlights. Got cross the street, can't cross the street, I can't pick one. So far, not a single person. And I don't ask it all that often because I did want to keep the sample small because I want to be able to talk to you about it like this. But by and large, I have yet to find another intelligent adult to go, well, look, it's an egg. Yeah, it is raining. It's starting to rain, but I don't think there's going to be wind. I think we're cool here in our Ruta Rivoli aspect. People, everything's shifted a bit. The thing is once you hit, is it chicken or egg? When you hit this thing and you go either or and you don't know, just ask one more question. Just pick one. And so pick a chicken. It's fine if that's what 75% of y'all's intelligence level is. Where does chicken come from? I mean, this is where would the egg have come from? Yes, we know. Evolution, clear as day. Where did the first chicken egg come from? A reptile. Okay, evolutionary logic is powerful. Evolutionary logic is also about the immense effects of the process of time. Time is incredible as far as increasing intelligence. As time goes on, you learn one thing, you learn another thing. All of a sudden, you've learned 1,000 things. The process of life learning, unfolding, of sticking around, which I know is unlikely. I'll rewatch this, damn sure. We're at 68 minutes, counting. Not to life, evolutionary logic. And the environment is everything. That's the third heuristic. I come up with quite such a, down to just 9 words, 1 man plus 1 woman, evolutionary logic, chicken and egg. The environment is everything. The Heath brothers, Chip and Dan, in Switch, which is again a pinnacle book that informs my theory of everything. In Switch, they talk about the fact, being like the rider of an elephant. Like you may think you're doing all that much, but really you're moving at the pleasure of the elephant. And it should be pleasure, not pain. It's 100% clear about that. Zancy's getting more comfortable. Not been many dogs this morning. But, again, as we're talking about learning, talking about various things, Zancy's an incredibly smart canine who cannot be dissuaded from her environmental sensitivities. We are identical in that respect. She lived through the mold. Now that I've gotten out of the house, I see my own dysfunction so much clearer through seeing hers. She really can't play ball. Oops. Oh, talk about a Freudian guffaw. Sorry, Peppy. I'm not going to get the ball out. And I was thinking that we both need some water. Now that I'll wait until I see the guy drive away, get her out something, but I'm going to have a sip. A sip. I guess I've been talking for 2 hours. Okay. Yeah, I'm waiting for my own little best example of the environment is everything. I mean, there's been a fantastic demonstration of in detail. Also now, I think you may start seeing a lot of redness. There was a massive barometric pressure switch. It was just a few kind of big drops. It wasn't a lot. But then we had the hoarseness, and then you would think the water would refresh me, but it's actually causing really, truly an actual hot flash. Oh. Good. Hi. So, wrapping things up under 75 minutes is, again, I need y'all to know I can do a 90-minute special. I can do a 75 to 90-minute stand-up special. Yes, I will make outlines. I mean, we'll just curb your enthusiasm. We're not scripting these things because there's just no way. You need to get to see the complexity of my randomly bringing up the berries as the tracker and then getting around to talking about the sense of taste, the importance of that as a harbinger of our health when we were hunters and gatherers, and the archetypal people who were so in tune with every aspect of the environment, we would have been prized for so long until civilization started prizing humans who could numb themselves to all sensory input. Process of civilization as it's been built in a mechanical, mechanistic assembly line framework is what's killing humans. It's what's causing all of our problems. And we don't have to live in a society like this. We don't have to tear everything down, but we have to stop having life force be beholden. So I mentioned the birds, and actually I can see a couple coming back now. YouTube video, my favorite one, apart from my own. Crow vending machines. It's actually a TED Talk, sorry. It is a TED Talk. Crow vending machines. So we got the rabbits and the squirrels. If there was a way, goats would do a fine job. We bring the goats out from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. There are more natural solutions than what we've just lived through in this broadcast. We shouldn't be using fossil fuels like this anymore. And we should really see not just that it's because we're running out of fossil fuels. That should be the least amount of the reasons. We are harming human health at every level. Sound, smell, vibration. This is my autonomic nervous system. I worked hard to be able to keep this together. It is a function of the energy that I'm now processing with. It is a function of the meaning to my life to share a well-being philosophy. And that's what I'll leave you with. Right livelihood, having a purpose, knowing that what you have to contribute to the world is important, is the way to navigate chronic conditions. Harmony.